Today's lesson is on section 5.4, which is on sum and difference identities. Essentially, the big objective today is to simplify trig expressions using some formulas. And so we're going to see some sum and difference identities in the next slide that we're going to be able to apply to different trig expressions that we can't look directly up on the unit circle. So to start off, here is all the formulas that we're going to need today. So these are the sum and difference identities for sine, cosine, and tangent. Notice it involves some variables that we haven't seen before, alpha and beta. Those just represent two angles, but essentially what you're doing today is if I give you a trig expression, let's say the sine of 165 degrees, well, 165 degrees is not directly on the unit circle. So we have to look at the angles that are given around the unit circle that might either add up to or subtract to 165. And so if you look at your unit circle, I can split up 165 as 120 degrees plus 45 degrees. And those degree measurements I can directly look up on the unit circle. So since it's the sine of the sum of two angles there, then I would be using the sine sum formula where alpha would represent 120 or 45, doesn't really matter, and then beta would be either 120 or 45 degrees. But once you identify your two angles, we sub it directly into that equation and we'll get our final answer. So take a moment to copy these down. You can pause the video anytime you want, but make sure you have these in your notes somewhere. All right, let's take a look at our very first question here. So it says find the exact value of cosine of 75 degrees. And so the first step is really figuring out what two angles on the unit circle either add up to or subtract to 75 degrees. Some of you might recognize right away that I can split up 75 degrees as 30 degrees plus 45 degrees. You could have also used cosine of 120 minus 45 degrees because that would also be 75 degrees. So either one would work. It doesn't matter which one you choose, but let's stick with that first one that we just did. So if I focus on cosine of 75 equals 30 plus 45 degrees, that means I would be using that cosine sum formula there, where I'd let my alpha be 30 degrees and my beta 45 degrees. So if I sub it into that expression, that would mean that that would equal cosine of 30 times cosine of 45 minus sine of 30 times sine of 45. Well, the cosine of 30 degrees on the unit circle is the x-coordinate at 30 degrees, which is square root 3 over 2. The cosine at 45 is positive square root 2 over 2. The sine of 30 degrees is 1/2. And the sine at 45 degrees is square root 2 over 2. Now, when you're multiplying fractions, we really multiply straight across. We don't do any cross multiplication here. When they're the same root or the same radical sign, we can multiply those underneath. So the first expression, first term would be square root 3 times square root 2 would be given as square root 6 over 2 times 2 on the bottom is 4. And then in the second term, we get square root 2 over 2 times 2 on the bottom, which is 4. Notice they're the same denominator. If they weren't, we'd have to combine these as one, getting a common denominator. But since they are the same, I can write that as the square root 6 minus square root 2 all over 4. And that would be my final answer for this problem. So let's take a look at another one here. So here we're trying to find the exact value of tangent of 105. So the first step again is to figure out what two angles on the unit circle add up to or subtract to 105 degrees. Some of you that looked at your first quadrant on the unit circle right away can recognize that 105 can be written as 60 degrees plus 45 degrees. You could have also used the fact that 105 is 135 degrees minus 30 degrees if you wanted to use that one as well. But for time's sake, we're going to focus on just the above part, which is 60 plus 45. So that means we are going to be using the tangent sum formula here, so alpha plus beta, where alpha is 60 degrees and beta is 45, and you can change those interchangeably if you want. It doesn't really matter. what you let alpha or beta equal. But if I represent that formula here, that'd be the tangent of 60 degrees plus the tangent of 45 degrees all over 1 minus the tangent of 60 times the tangent of 45. So the next step would be looking these values up on the unit circle. And so the tangent of 60 ends up being square root 3. Tangent of 45 is 1. So I get square root 3 plus 1 in the numerator. On the bottom, I have 1 minus the square root 3. Tangent of 60, square root 3, and tangent of 45 is 1. And so I'm just left with 1 minus square root 3 on the denominator. Now, this is acceptable as an answer, although in a Canvas quiz or on the chapter exam, you might not see this expression written. So your job is to maybe rewrite this slightly, which is involving just really some conjugate stuff. And so to get rid of that square root on the bottom, we would have to multiply by the conjugate of top and bottom, whatever the conjugate of the denominator is, which in this case would be 1 plus the square root of 3. And so if I FOILed the top, if you do that carefully, first ends up being square root 3, outside ends up being 3, square root 3 times square root 3. The inside terms ends up being positive 1, and then the outside term, or the last term, ends up being positive square root 3. On the bottom, the reason that we do conjugates on the bottom, because it doesn't leave us with any radical symbols on the bottom. In fact, if you FOILed the bottom out carefully, you should have got, I believe, -2 as an overall answer for the denominator part. So one thing we can do is simplify the numerator slightly. And if I simplify the numerator, on top, I'm left with 2 square roots of 3 plus 4 all over -2 if I collect the like terms. And since each of these terms are even, I can cancel the 2 out of each of these, and so my final answer would be square root 3 plus 2 all over -1, or negative square root 3 minus 2 would be my final answer. So notice these ones require a little bit more algebra work to simplify in the end, which makes it a little bit more difficult than the last one. But a lot of times, in order to get the simplified form, you're going to be dealing with the conjugate of whatever the denominator is in most cases. All right, now it's your turn to try. So I want you to try this one. This is the sine of 15 degrees. And so remember, the first step is to figuring out what two angles either add up to or subtract. You might have to think about subtracting in this case. But good luck with this one. Pause the video, work this one out, and we'll go over this in a few seconds. So many of you looking at the first quadrant probably discovered right away that 15 degrees can be written as 45 degrees minus 30 degrees. And this is a case where it does matter what alpha and beta is. Because we really can't flip-flop the difference between the two, because if we do, we get a negative 15 degrees if we do that. And so we would be using that sine difference formula here. And so if I write it out, that would equal the sine of alpha, which in our case is 45 degrees, times the cosine of beta, which is 30 degrees, minus the cosine of alpha, times the sine of beta, so sine of 30. And if we look on the unit circle, the sine of 45 is square root 2 over 2. The cosine at 30 degrees is square root 3 over 2. Cosine of 45, square root 2 over 2. Sine of 30 is 1/2. And so if I multiply these across, you end up getting square root 6 over 4 minus square root 2 over 4, which ends up being square root 6 minus square root 2 all over 4. So there's our final answer for this one. All right, so what if it's radian measurements? These ones tend to be a little bit trickier. So we just looked at a few degree ones together, and now we're going to look at a couple radian measurement ones together. With radian measurements, you really can't look up 11 pi over 12 on the unit circle. But if I look at the unit circle, and I look at all those radian measurements around the unit circle, and I convert those into similar denominators. Notice we have a denominator of 6, 4, 3, 2. So the common denominator would be 12ths. And so if I list the first several radian measurements on the unit circle, so pi over 6 in order, pi over 4, then it'd be pi over 3, then it was pi over 2, and if I keep working around, 2 pi over 3, looks like 3 pi over 4, etc. And I change those all into terms of 12ths. So pi over 6, if I multiply 2 to top and bottom, is the same as 2 pi over 12. Pi over 4, if I multiply 3, would be 3 pi over 12. Pi over 3 can be written as 4 pi over 12. Pi over 2 would be 6 pi over 12. 2 pi over 3 can be written as 8 pi over 12 if I multiply 4 to top and bottom. And the last one, if I multiply 3 to top and bottom, I get 9 pi over 12. And if you look at it in terms of 12ths, then what to either add up to or subtract to 11 pi over 12? Well, right away we can use a couple different ones. In fact, you could write it as 2 pi over 12 plus 9 pi over 12. Those two work. And also 3 pi over 12 and 8 pi over 12 work as well. But it's a sum. In fact, if I look at the first two that I circled, I can write 11 pi over 12 as the tangent of 2 pi over 12 plus 9 pi over 12, which is the same as pi over 6 and 3 pi over 4. But once you figure out the two radian measurements, then it's just applying that formula here, which in this case, it looks like it's going to be the tangent of alpha plus beta in this case, where alpha is pi over 6 and beta ends up being 3 pi over 4. So if I apply the formula now, which is tangent of alpha plus beta, then it would be tangent of pi over 6 plus tangent of my beta, which is 3 pi over 4, over 1 minus tangent of pi over 6 times tangent of 3 pi over 4. And if I continue that using my unit circle, looking up those values on the unit circle, the tangent at pi over 6 is square root 3 over 3. Tangent at 3 pi over 4 ends up being negative 1 there. And so on the bottom, you're left with 1 minus square root 3 over 3 times negative 1, which would change it to positive on the bottom. This one's probably one of the more trickier ones to simplify. So if I focus on simplifying, focusing just on the numerator, we might want to do common denominator work there. And so if I get it in terms of thirds, I can write that minus 1 as minus 3 over 3, which allows me then to combine that as one term on top. And so I get square root 3 minus 3 all over 3 on top, all over. On the bottom, if I did same common denominator work there, and write that 1 as 3 over 3, then I can combine that as one expression there. So the bottom denominator part would be reading as 3 plus square root 3 all over 3. You might have seen like it made it more complicated, but when you have a fraction divided by a fraction, I can keep, change, flip, and multiply it by its reciprocal. So if I multiply it by the denominator's reciprocal, notice right away the 3's cancel. And so what you're left with is square root 3 minus 3 all over 3 plus square root 3. And if you still don't see your answer on Canvas, chances are we did some conjugate work now. And so the conjugate of the bottom denominator ends up being 3 minus square root 3. So if I do that to top and bottom and FOIL both the numerator and denominator here, we should be able to work from there and get our final simplified answer. So if I FOIL the top, the first ends up being 3 square roots of 3. Outside ends up being negative 3 when I multiply those two together. Inside ends up being negative 9, and the very last term ends up being positive 3 square roots of 3. Negative times a negative is a positive. On the bottom, when you FOIL that, the outside-inside term should cancel, and so what you're left with is, looks like on the bottom, we're left with, looks like 9 minus 3, which ends up being over 6. And so on the top, I can simplify that as 6 square roots of 3 minus 12 all over 6, and then notice both of these terms are divisible by 6, which allows me to cancel that 6 in the bottom. And so my final answer after all that simplifying would end up being square root 3 minus 2. And that would be fully simplified there. So I want you to try one of these here. So think about the radian measurements. So what to either subtract to or add up to 5 pi over 12. So you might have to change those all into terms of twelfths first to see that. But once you have that, sub that into the formula and simplify the best you can. So you can pause the video, try this out. But it looks like this will be the last problem that we'll go over today. Good luck. So I believe if you change the first several radian measurements in terms of twelfths, you should have found out that 5 pi over 12 I can write as 2 pi over 12 plus 3 pi over 12, which on the unit circle come from pi over 6, if I reduce that, and pi over 4. And so we are using the sum of the two angles there, so the sine of the sum formula. And so if I apply it to that formula, it ends up being sine of my alpha, which is in this case pi over 6, times cosine of pi over 4, plus cosine of pi over 6 times sine of pi over 4. And if I look those up on the unit circle, the y-coordinate at pi over 6 ends up being 1/2. Cosine at pi over 4 is square root 2 over 2. Cosine at pi over 6 is square root 3 over 2. And sine of pi over 4 ends up being square root 2 over 2. And so if I multiply the top, it ends up being square root 2 over 4 plus square root 6 over 4. And since they're the same denominator, I can combine that as 1. So my final answer overall would be square root 2 plus square root 6 all over 4. And if you kind of noticed, a lot of the problems today ended up being some variation of square root 2, square root 6 all over 4, which you might find out with a lot of the sine and cosine ones. The tangent ones end up being a little differently because we have to simplify further. But there's our answer. So here's the homework for the day. Try your best on these. Make sure you have the formulas copied down in your notes somewhere because you might need those handy for the assessment coming up. But good luck on the practice and enjoy the rest of your day.